Make a wish for ones with a secret. And if I manifest best, guess I'll keep it. I'm sick, go with the flow, new flow, up phones one day. Thoughts come, what's run, yes, I need it.
To Pop Culture Cuties, the podcast that blends local business with the broader pop culture. Each week, I sit down with North Georgia's movers and shakers, business owners, creatives, and industry insiders to talk about their work, their journey, and how their field connects to the broader cultural landscape. So if you love great conversation over tea and wine, then this is the place for you. This week, I'll be This week, I'll be chatting with Miss Madi Nix from the Habersham County Animal Shelter. Welcome, Madi. Thank you. Would you mind telling us a little about yourself?
Okay, so for those of you that do not know me, I'm trying to see if I can get somewhere to stick this up here. Okay, there we go. Pardon, I'm a little, just got home from work. So I am the director of the Habersham County Animal Shelter in Clarksville. So I am your queen dog catcher and shelter director over at Habersham County.
Thank you for coming on today. So animal shelters, as we know, play a crucial role in all communities, but especially in rural communities. Yet many people kind of only see the surface level work that you guys do. And your team at the Habersham County Animal Shelter has faced everything from runaway goats to emergency 911 rescues. And I guess where we want to start is and want to be topical. So what is kitten season and how long does that typically last?
Oh gosh. So kitten season is the one of the worst times of year for us. So kitten season is one of those things that everybody thinks of as the warm, fuzzy, wonderful time of year where we just have the best time of our life, hovering in those little Mew angels that everybody loves. And it is one of the most hectic, depressing times of years for us because everybody wants to save little kitty angels, and it's one of those things that we really struggle with in the shelter environment because people love kittens. Everybody loves kittens. Everybody loves the idea of kittens. And we find a lot of them that are rescued that don't necessarily need rescuing. Kittens are one of those things that we have an overabundance of in our area. For those of you that are familiar with Northeast Georgia, we have a lot of cats. We have a lot of people that like to feed cats, and we have a very high population of feral cats in our area. So when we have a lot of cats, we have a lot of kittens. We have a lot of
No worries.
Sorry, we're
no
outside.
worries.
We actually live, my husband and I actually live off grid. So we have a solar place, so we do a lot of wind and out.
Yeah. I love the background.
Yeah. So anyway, so kitties, a lot of people will pick up kitties in our area thinking that the kitties are orphan kitties or abandoned kitties, and these kitties, I'll just go ahead and hold this, are in fact not orphan kitties. Mama cats got to eat too. So mama cats are often out prowling, looking for food for their babies, and kitties get kidnapped a lot. And so we have a lot of cats and kittens that are brought to us that don't necessarily need rescuing. Kittens that are picked up when moms are just, out looking for food or things like that. And so we get a lot of cats and kittens that are brought to us accidentally that could have stayed with mom for a little while. And I'll be brutally honest, kittens that are brought to us too early don't always survive. Kittens need to stay with mom as long as humanly possible, and animal shelters are very germy places. So when kittens are brought to us that are taken away from mom too early, their immune systems are not ready for that. Babies need to stay with mom as long as humanly possible, and so when they don't get the antibodies from mom that they just so desperately need, that mom's milk is so very important, they don't survive. And so the mortality rate for babies that are brought to us, orphan babies, is very high. And as hard as we try, we can't bottle feed every baby that comes in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very heartbreaking. So it's very hard on the staff too. It's very emotionally tolling on the staff and the few bottle feeding volunteers that we have to be able to try and make it through kitten season.
Sure. And you're right. We have a lot of cats in Cornelia, especially. I mean, I walk through my parents' neighborhood and you find little hot zones. And I discovered it was because this very well-intended woman was feeding the cats. She was also feeding the birds. So, I mean, it was just a chaotic environment. But yeah, I posted a picture the other day of two cats fighting over a huge piece of chicken. Yeah. And then in the woods, you can't see it in the photo, but I'm not kidding. There were at least 7 cats coming out of the woods to come feast on that one piece of chicken, where this woman used to live and she was feeding them. So you're right. And you're the one that introduced me to cat math.
Yeah, cat math.
And what is that?
So cat math is 2 + 2 does not equal 4. 2 + 2 is like 57 with cats, because and it's the saddest thing, because it's well-intentioned people that really feel like they are helping, and really these folks are creating a bigger problem, because they feel like they're helping these cats to not starve, but in reality we're making the problem worse. We're inviting these cats to invite their friends over, and then they're inviting their boyfriends and then their girlfriends, and then we're having these cats have more cats. And when we're creating this environment that is welcoming, and we're making these cats fat and sassy, and we're giving everybody this great environment to just reproduce, and we're not spaying and neutering, we're just making this population boom. And of course, spay and neuter is just the only way that we're going to make a dent in this population. It's horrible, some of these pockets of cats that we find, like you're saying, that we are finding well-intentioned people who are just creating these problem areas of cat math. And it's heartbreaking to find these problem areas that we're finding cats with herpes virus that's going unchecked, and the cat math that is just, it's not division, it's multiplication, just over and over again. And when we find these areas that's unchecked, we're finding disease that's running rampant, and there's herpes virus, and there's chlamydia, and there's cats that are having their eyeballs that are protruding, and these are horrible diseases, and there's leukemia, and these well-intentioned folks, and it's almost like nobody realizes that it's a problem until the problem is out of control.
Right.
And it's not until then that the county's called or the city is called, and the amount of money and resources that then has to be put into it, and the lives that are lost at that point, because it's so much easier to fix the problem when it's 2 or 3 or 10 cats. But when it's 50 or 60 or 100 cats at this point, who has the resources or the space or the finances to be able to do that? And at that point, the only ability we have, or the only resource we have sometimes, is euthanasia. And that's just a horrible, horrible outcome. And no one wants to do that. But at that point, when you have, sometimes that's the only option and the most humane option, when you have animals that are suffering at that point.
Yeah.
We've gone into locations sometimes where the disease is so rampant and the inbreeding is so rampant that it's just ugh. My cat, I have a cat that actually came from a colony like that. He's 13 years old now. He's an old fat boy, but he was a victim of herpes, and so he has no eyes, and that is his name, No Eyes.
I had no idea that could even happen.
And he was a 6-week-old kitten when he came from a colony And we had to have both of his eyeballs removed. And I love him, and he is my big fat no eyes. And but most cats like him aren't so lucky. It's just he just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And but just cats are. I'm such a cat lady, but it just there's just so many of them. There's just so many kitties out there that need us. And if we can't, we just have to do right by them.
And
We have to do right by them and just stop the problem before it gets out of
and
control.
one way that we can do that too is through the fostering program you
Yes.
told me about. And there's a class coming up, right?
Yes, we have a class coming up. And so Lily is our resident cat lady at the shelter. So she is going to be hosting our kitty class coming up. We have a flyer posted on the shelter page and on the Cute Northeast Georgian. They are helping us promote this kitty class. And you can go ahead and attend and get signed up. And we will be teaching you all about how to foster kitties, how to bottle feed kitties. We actually have a kitten that will be available for some hands-on training. We'll be doing bottle feeding right there in the class. We will be welcoming, if you have kids, underage children are more than welcome to attend. We'll be doing some training with I think that kitty should be about 2 weeks old by the time that the class comes around. We'll have some 4-week-old kitties, 6-week-old kitties, all kinds of ages. We will be getting you set up on with all the stuff that you need, all the supplies, and we really hope to have all kinds of folks coming. We'll get all the supplies you need, and we just can't wait to get a whole bunch of new families set up. We really cannot wait to get a whole new foster roster lined up. We need as many families as we can. We really want to get ahead of kitten season this year. Keeping cats out of the shelter is really what keeps them healthy. Getting them just lined up families, and all you need is a bathroom. We can't wait to get ahead of kitten season this year, because it's going to be a bad one, we can tell.
And that is such a good character lesson if you have kids or teenagers, because teenagers are very compassionate. I used to teach high school, and teenagers, they get a bad rep, I bet a teenager would love to foster and care for one of these kittens, or maybe an older kid, in partnership with mom and dad. I could see that being a great homeschool project, or just a Girl Scout project. Just throwing this out into the ether for anybody listening, I'll make sure to spread the word on our neighborhood pages too. And for anybody listening, make sure I have the graphic on the Cute North Georgian Facebook page. Feel free to share that graphic and get the word out, because this is some important work.
Oh, some of our best foster homes are our teens, tweens, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. We've had some great younger kids just really grow up fostering little kitties, and they've just grown up being foster families, and we've watched them just grow up as fosters and volunteers, and it's really been enjoyable over the years.
That is very, very cool. Now, Madi, I came to know you from Voice of Habersham Facebook page. It was 10 o'clock at night, and somebody posted about a herd of cats. I don't know, a gaggle of cats inside the sewer behind the Quality Foods. And people were tagging you. And I think you did actually get back to them at 1 a.m. I mean, you were on it, and I was very impressed at how quickly you responded, even in the morning. But in the meantime, it was actually my really smart idea to try and go save these cats. And I told my husband, I just grabbed the keys. He's playing on the computer, and I said, I'm gonna go get these cats. And he said, wait a second, you're gonna go meet some people. You're gonna go to an alley and climb in a gutter behind the Quality Foods because somebody on the internet posted about it. And I'm like, yeah, that's about the gist of it.
Yeah,
and he said, a good idea. Yeah, that's about it. And he said, all right, I'm coming with you. And that's how we ended up in a gutter at 10 o'clock at night. But you were on it though. It was like 1 a.m. I was super impressed. I didn't know who you were, but I noticed everybody knows it's like the bat signal to put out the bat or the mat signal. I don't know. And you just came into the rescue. And I think it was, I actually ended up meeting another group of animal shelter people there. They're not from the shelter. They run like a cat fostering society, and we kind of teamed up and spayed the animals and then released them back into the wild. For the older ones, and the kittens, I think, were placed in homes. But I found that there is a bat signal that whenever there's an animal in need, that people will always tag you. But not everyone is as nice. While you're praised for your compassion toward animals and the dedication that you bring to your role, I want to take a moment to highlight another remarkable skill of yours, and that is your ability to handle the online experts with the grace of a seasoned diplomat. I mean it. Like, you could be a diplomat arranging negotiations between like the Ukraine and the United States with how tactfully you navigate these situations. So we all know the internet can be a wild place filled with Monday morning quarterbacking, people who have never stepped into the field but are convinced they know the playbook better than the coach, yet you always respond to unsolicited and unfair criticism with like a level of calm that deserves an award. And I'll never forget one particularly like vocal critic who decided to take aim at the shelter. And while most people would have been tempted to like clap back, you offered to you were so classy. You extended a ride along to this individual, and you totally calmed the situation.
Well, we're all the villain in somebody's story, and we've all had a bad day. And I know that, like, I've been there, so I always, I would hope that somebody would extend that to me. And there's probably been plenty of times where I've smarted off to somebody, and so I'm just glad that,
Well, you've always been so classy online and how you handled it. I was really impressed with your invitation for a ride along. And, it did. It pacified the individual, and they seem to be won over to your side. And I've noticed that you just always handle these things. So, like, you don't accept, you accept the criticism, but you also will present the shelter in a professional way. And it always looks so good. And that's how I came to, meet you and find out about the work that you do. But what's even more troubling than like just that one individual, that one rando I saw you handle so gracefully, Madi, is a post by this anonymous parody site of some sort called Habersham Access Now. I'm reluctant to give it more attention, but it stirred up quite a bit of just unnecessary outrage. The post was shared the day after Holocaust Remembrance Day and compared the shelter to a concentration camp. Not only does that comparison just completely, diminish the gravity of the Holocaust, but it also just riled people up, and created tension that's just not reflective of the real work being done. I'm just wondering, like, did you see that post? Because some people really thought it was like an actual news article on the shelter.
Yeah, I saw it. And for me, I just don't entertain things like that. If it's not, to me, if I give it attention, I'm giving it life, if that makes sense. And
yeah,
I just don't.
Yeah, and I just want to make clear that you guys were not responsible for that post. That's not an accurate depiction of the shelter.
And I think people know that. I think the fact that it didn't really go far shows that people understand that and didn't give it much thought. It didn't travel very far, and I think that it didn't get much attention, and so therefore, it didn't.
Yeah, well, that's good. And it shouldn't, because I've been by the shelter, and you guys do a really good job. And I have never met a team of animal activists that are more in sync and more on, and I'm not kidding. I've done animal rescue for years. I've fostered the cats. I fostered the dogs. I grew up around rescue, and oftentimes, or at least sometimes, these animal groups can be a bit nitpicky with each other, and they're not always the nicest people. But the Habersham County Animal Shelter, like, they are in sync and they do some really important work. What are some challenges faced by animal control in shelters, specifically like in a rural area like ours in Habersham?
It's always finances are always a big deal. Making do with what we have is always a big deal. Changing the perception of shelter animals is always a big thing. We're struggling a lot now with pet-friendly housing and affordable vet care for folks. That is something that I think a lot of shelters are struggling with and a lot of families are struggling with. So I don't think we're really facing any unique challenges. I think this is something that's nationwide that a lot of people are struggling with and a lot of shelters are struggling with. And we are also struggling a lot. This is something that I wasn't really thinking that we were going to be seeing a lot of personally, and I may get a little pushback from this in our very red state, but we are seeing an influx in surrenders due to deportation.
That makes sense, actually. Well, if it's true, I can't imagine why there'd be pushback, because if it's a fact, it's a fact.
I heard that was going to be something that we were going to be seeing, and I kind of was like, oh, I don't think that's going to happen, and I am personally seeing it. So we are seeing it.
Yeah.
It is
I had
something
not considered
we
that.
are experiencing. So there are new challenges that we are facing in the shelter world on a daily basis. We are still seeing the effects of COVID and behavior issue animals, but definitely veterinary expenses are something that we are definitely struggling with, that we are seeing the public struggle with, and we are struggling with also on the sheltering side. Veterinary expenses have almost tripled for us on the sheltering side. So the spay neuters that used to cost us $50 are now costing us upwards of $200. And, we are already struggling with people being able to afford adoption fees. And, now our spay neuters themselves are costing more than the adoption fees were, years ago. And we can't even give animals away for adoption fees anymore. So it's like, ugh.
Right.
But so we're trying to come up with creative solutions, while not, overdoing our budget, and still trying to find ways to creatively find pets homes, and also not, cost the taxpayers money at the same time. So it's challenging, but we're trying to figure it out as we go. And that's something we have to figure out as a community and as a team, and how we can do it together while while saving lives, and also being there for our citizens as a as a public safety agency, and as something that's a safety net under pet owners as well. And that's a difficult task, because we're a public safety unit, but we're also something that's there as a community service. So it's kind of an interesting type of department. It's not just a public safety unit. It's something that's also a community based entity. So it's kind of it's a different thing. we're
certainly, it certainly requires a lot of flexibility. And one way you guys proved yourself very flexible was in the runaway goat incident of 2024.
Yes.
What was the runaway goat thing?
So the goat, and that goat actually lives with my Mimi now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the goat, gosh, that goat is hysterical. And the goat, believe it or not, so that goat terrorized Habersham for weeks, right?
Yeah.
We figured out that the goat could not be contained. But if you did not contain the goat would stay home. So the goat, as much as we tried to keep the goat home, you would fence the goat in and the goat would not stay home. The goat would jump any fence, the goat would tear through any fence. As long as we left the fence open, the goat would stay home.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. So as long as the gate,
I can agree he's very powerful.
yes, yep. So as long as you leave the fence open, the goat stays home.
Yeah, for days I saw those posts. It was and he was fast.
Yes, yes,
fast.
very fast.
Is his name still Goaty McGoatface?
Yes, Goaty McGoatface. Yep.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. So I guess that's one of the unique challenges faced by animal control for rural areas. You know, my husband, he was driving home from work and he said he was late because he had to rescue a cow. And I'm like, you're just late because it's diaper changing time. Like, I thought it was like a joke, you know? Like I had to rescue a cow. But no, a cow got in the road and a woman was trying to get the cow into her gate. And, you know, I'm from like Alpharetta and Buford. You know, I've lived in a lot of city areas. I've lived in some rural spaces, but a lot of city areas. And so the excuse of the cow is why I'm late, you know, that didn't quite resonate. And then he's like, no, really, I had to get a cow out of the road.
No,
so
yes. No, I understand. Like, we had FedEx get stuck in our creek last night delivering my new chicken coop. So
yeah. No,
yeah,
I believe it. So wild things. I remember when I was driving down the road, and I had just moved here. I'd been here 2 weeks, and I saw a man on the side of the road, and it still shocks me, cutting off the head of a deer with a handsaw. With the handsaw. I'm like, what are you doing with that? I thought it was a serial killer or something. So yeah, that's some wild country stuff. I love it here, but that one blew my mind. Now, on a more serious note, because I want to try to address all aspects of the shelter and give you a chance, of course, to maybe explain things that people just don't understand about shelter work. And so many people can be highly critical of euthanasia for pets. Could you take a moment just to explain why, in both the short and the long term, euthanasia might be the more compassionate option compared to the no-kill shelter model?
All right. Well, we have been actually dealing with this a good amount lately. We have been getting, maybe not a lot, but sit down for a second. A lot of behavioral issue cases dealing with aggression where folks will be looking to relinquish pets that have been displaying severe aggression, either human or pet aggression, to the animal shelter. And so we have to have some difficult conversations with people that, you know, is placing this animal in an animal shelter the best situation for this pet? Because we're having difficulty placing animals that are, as we call, bomb-proof, animals that are people-friendly, pet friendly in homes right now. So relinquishing an animal that is not those things, you know, is that the best to do, you know, to put them in a situation that it's not going to be adoptable? You know, so when we have an animal that is not safe to put into a home, putting them in a situation like an animal shelter where we know they're going to be euthanized, you know, is it better for them to have that euthanasia happen with their family, you know, at the veterinarian? Is that, you know, the better option? Because a lot of shelters right now, including Habersham, you know, we are having to look at euthanasia based on space. You know, and we have to take into consideration the safety of the pets that are in our care, and we have to take into consideration the safety of adopters. You know, so we do not want to be releasing animals to adopters, to families that are not safe. So if we have an animal that is coming into our shelter, you know, we want to make sure that if we're placing it with a family, that it's not going to cause harm that it is not going to be placing adopters at risk. We're not going to be giving a family an animal that's going to hurt them. So we're making sure that we're screening pets that are going into homes. If your pet has issues as far as, health issues, it's probably best to make sure that pet, isn't placed in a shelter where those issues are not going to be able to be tended to, and it's not going to suffer in a shelter unmedicated.
Right.
So we have had situations like that where we've had to have difficult conversations, with families, such as that. Euthanasia in shelters is far more common, I think, than most folks want to admit. Now, fortunately for us, we have been able recently to stay under the 10% range in Habersham. That changes month to month based off of certain kitten season, certain seasons, if we do have hoarding cases, if we have spikes in intakes, but overall, annually, we do stay under 10%. We also, we do try to do managed intake, where we will have, when we do have the ability, and we do try to do counseling where we'll talk to owners, and we do try to say, hey, look, we are full at this capacity right now. Would you be able to hold on to your surrendered pet for a week or two until we can make a kennel space and, bring that pet in 2 weeks so we don't have to euthanize for space. And unfortunately, we have had a lot of owners that are willing to work with us so that we are able to make sure that we can continue to stay below that rate. We do have some owners that will not, and unfortunately, we do have to occasionally euthanize for space when that happens. And we do have those animals that are not safe to put out into the public that are brought in as strays. So we do have animals that are exposed to rabies. We do have animals that do have extensive bite histories. Those animals that do come in, we will not release back out into the public. Those animals, of course, are euthanized. I will not put a pet back out there that is at risk of hurting somebody or another animal.
And that helps with the reputation of shelter dogs and cats too, because that has probably contributed to the reputations of shelter pets, is that sometimes shelter managers and shelter employees might, send out pets that are not safe. So it's a bit of a, it's not even a damned if you do and damned if you don't. It's a short-term and long-term mistake. Because then people are much less likely to adopt in the future. So I think that's very wise. And I know another reason, and this made so much sense to me when you explained this to me last time we spoke for euthanasia, is that many people will laud the non-kill shelters, but eventually there becomes a bit of a glut in the machine when you get so many pets that can't be placed for adoption, and then they're basically just caring for the same pets, rather than accepting that some pets cannot be placed for adoption. So you end up saving a lot more pets by kind of being realistic about the situation at hand. Am I explaining that correctly? I'm sure you can do much better than me.
No, yeah, and it's yeah, no, 100% totally. I mean, that's exactly it. And it's and I even feel Harvey. You know Harvey.
I love Harvey.
And he's here with me, and I sometimes even feel a little questionable about him. He's been in the system for going on 2 years now, and I sometimes wonder, am I doing the appropriate thing with him? Because I'm starting to wonder, how many more animals could I have helped by not having him here? Because I know that there are more animals that could have come through my home without having him here. Now, I love this dog. I'm not going to question that. But, it's getting to the point where I could have had multiple more animals that could have come through my home that I could have helped.
It's hard.
You know, and it is because he's a tough case. He's a really tough case. He's a good boy for me, but he does have those issues where he is a hard case. He does have some quirks, and he does need to be managed appropriately, and not everybody can handle him. And there are incidences where he could kind of be a naughty boy. And if he got away and he wasn't wearing his little collar, and he didn't have the right person with him, he could be a bad, yeah. So it's kind of, but and just like you were saying, I could have helped more pets with that. So it's, but yeah, it but so yeah, it can be difficult. It can be difficult. So sometimes, but it's but we do see that a lot, where some of the other groups and no-kill shelters will, we have a thing, we call it, we kind of giggle, it's an ongoing joke, or we call it playing God at the door, because people in no-kill shelters will say, oh, you guys think you're playing God when you're euthanizing animals, and we say, oh, well, you play it at the door when you decline them, when you
You're right.
accept them. But there's a place for all of us in the sheltering world, and so we all have our place, and there's a need for all of us, and there's a reason that we're all here, and there's a different type of shelter for all of them, and it's tough out there for every single shelter right now. It's
I have no doubt.
It's tough for municipals. It's tough for the no-kills. It's tough for the sanctuaries, and we'll get through it. We'll get through it.
I believe it. No, you're tenacious. I have no doubt. And and that's why I take such offense to some of the criticisms you guys get. And that's why, I come out with my boxing gloves on when I see this, because I know how much you guys agonize over these decisions, and that you make the best decisions as the situation presents itself. And you have to be flexible of mind and spirit and space, and you work in the realm of the realistic. So I see that. But to lighten the mood, I have read that a new shelter is in the works. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yep.
When are we expecting that one to? Okay, so it's just kind of new then. Well,
yeah.
I'm very excited that it was approved. I know that this was a long time in coming.
Yes.
So I'm very excited. Can't wait for the ground to break on that. Now, our rapid fire questions. You answer these in just 3 to 5 words.
Okay.
These are easy. Don't worry. I think. Let's see. Dogs are you a dog or a cat person? I guess it started with a tough one. Dog. That was quick. Okay, I can believe it. I'm a cat person. I have 4 cats. They always said 3's a party, 4's a mental illness, and I just got my 4th cat, so you decide what that means.
I used to be cat. Dog.
I love my cat to the point of mental illness. It's a problem. But what's a ridiculous hill that you would die on?
Oh my god. I don't know.
For me, it's that, gosh, let me think. I'm sure I have a hill I'd die on. Oh, kids are cool. For me, it's that kids are cool. And I will fight anybody that says otherwise.
I don't even know. Like, there's so many.
Oh, there's so many. Wow.
Yes. Like, rolling me.
That's fair.
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
All right. We'll rain check that one. Most surprising thing about shelter work?
Oh, you're killing me with these. Like, I can't.
There's so many.
It's so people-y. Like, so people.
That's fair.
Like,
that's a good point.
So much people.
Gosh, you sound just like my aunt. She's been in animal rescue she's 63. She's been doing it for like 40 something years. And she says that exact same thing. It is surprising how many people you have to interact with on a daily basis with that.
Yeah, I got into it thinking, like, I love animals. It is the most people job ever.
Oh, I believe it. I have no doubt. Now, going to we always try to connect, the regional with the cultural, and celebrities. They have a huge influence from what I've read on pet adoption. So there's figures like Taylor Swift with her cats. There's Chris Evans and his rescue dog Dodger, Queen Elizabeth II and her corgis, 101 Dalmatians, right? They help shape, for good or bad, they help shape public perception of different pets. So do celebrity adoptions help drive awareness, or do they sometimes lead to unrealistic expectations?
I think they drive them.
You think so?
Yeah.
So it's more helpful than not helpful.
I think helpful, yeah.
I could see that. I could definitely see, because Taylor Swift has so much influence on the culture, and her cat, she does like little videos with her cats, puts them in the music videos. People that want to be like Taylor Swift might buy some cats.
Oh, yeah. That's cool again.
Oh, I think so too. The cat ladies are rejoicing at our cultural acceptance once more.
She brought back cat ladies, like totally.
And so I know it's awesome. Now, and this is controversial. Who was your favorite famous pet as a kid?
As a kid?
As a kid. Mine was Wishbone. I was a Wishbone stan.
Yeah. No, Salem. From
the Teenage Witch.
Yes.
From Sabrina.
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see you and Salem connecting.
Yes.
You guys have a very similar sense of humor.
With his little muffled little claws.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
That's the perfect fit. Now, and this one is still more controversial. Who is your present favorite dog personality for this generation of kids?
Oh. Dog.
There's like a dog for every generation, like there's Blue's Clues for the millennials.
Oh, yeah. I loved Blue. Like,
yes. And they're still going. That show is still going.
No, yeah. No, see, I don't like I was a Steve's Blue. Like, yeah. Steve, I don't like the new Blue.
No. Now, Bluey is mine. Oh, you're not a Bluey fan. Oh no, parents are going to come at you with torches and pitchforks for that one.
Oh no, Bluey. That's.
I have to admit, I'm a Bluey stan. I've hosted Bluey. That's because my daughter's obsessed with Bluey. So that's one of her first words was shouting "Mom" because it was on the TV. So.
Yeah, I was with Blue's Clues. Yeah.
There does seem to be a blue dog for every generation. What about Courage the Cowardly Dog? How do you feel about that one?
He was okay.
I didn't like how the old man treated him.
Well, Snoop Dogg was my.
That's true. Very true. So, for all of those listeners who want to make a difference, where is the best place to start?
Oh gosh, be kind to animals.
Yeah, just do unto others as you would have done to yourself, right? I know some ways to. Do you guys need like donations of dog for like simple things? Donations of dog food, rags. I remember cloth. Wasn't that a big one?
Yeah.
Newspapers.
Yeah, newspapers. Right now we're coming up on kitty season, so cat food, kitten food. If you can, if Mill Creek is doing a male cat neuter special right now, I want to say the first Monday of every month. If there is an outdoor cat that you know of, snatch that boy up and take him to get neutered.
Okay. That's really good to know, actually. I will keep that in mind. I know all the cat colonies in this area, so definitely will keep that in mind. And I'll connect with you on that later, too. So, Madi, where can our listeners connect with the Habersham Animal Shelter? How can they connect with you guys?
On Facebook, most definitely, or Instagram. We are trying to revamp our Instagram, getting set up on that. We're a little old, so we're trying to get all of our social medias going.
I'm new to it too. This is my first year on Instagram.
Yes. We're trying, and you can come see us at the shelter. We're behind the fairgrounds in Clarksville. We love visitors, and we're also trying to get our volunteer program. Sorry, it's getting a little dark outside. We're outdoorsy people here. Up and running. We are trying to get it's getting nice, hopefully soon. Spring is coming, so we're trying to get some more dog walkers, and our play groups up and running again for the spring and summer season. So come on and see us. We're trying to get a little bit more out and about. We're trying to get some more folks that can do some doggy outings with us. So just come on and see us at the shelter and help us get active this year. We're going to get as many dogs outside, try to boost adoptions locally. We have some folks that are getting dogs just out and about. We like to take them to scoops, get a pup cup, just take them out to the square, walk them around, get them some exposure, and just get them homes, get them out of the shelter.
Absolutely. And I will make sure to spread the word. Those listening, you do your part too. Share the episode, share the information, share the graphics. Try to help get the word out. If you can't donate, share the message. People in this county love you, Madi. You're a celebrity here. The high priestess of Habersham. But that's all for today. Be sure to tune in next Thursday for Instagram live session or catch our latest episode uploaded to Spotify and YouTube. We can't wait to have you join us. Take care. We will talk soon. Good night.
Make a wish for once with a secret. And if I manifest best, guess I'll keep it. I'm sick, go with the flame.